the difference between etic and emic ethnography? This, just give me the microphone. Kill two. Yeah. Thank you. How's that? Better, better, better. All right. Do you know the difference between etic and emic ethnography? Anybody? No? Huh? It's what? Etic and emic ethnography. No? No. Don't know. Okay. It's actually an important idea. So if you want to learn about a culture, do you want to have people that are inside the culture study the culture? Or do you want to have people from outside of the culture study the culture? Which is better? Outside. You know, actually they're both right. So emic ethnography says that I'm inside the culture. If I want to learn about India, I get an Indian because they understand what's going on. Etic ethnography says I'm not getting an Indian, I'm going to get a foreigner. And I'm a foreigner. And I came to India and I noticed something that you can't see. Just like if you want to know about water, you don't ask a fish. So you grew up in India, and so you don't really understand Indian culture in a way, because it just seems normal to you. As an American, I understand Indian culture in a way that's different from the way you do. And I noticed something. So I'm an American, I grew up in America, and in America we are individualistic, right? We basically just care about ourselves. And we're very homogeneous. We're pretty much all the same. But in India, you can't say hello to somebody unless you understand who they are. Assalamu alaikum, Sat Shri Akal, Vanakkam, Namaste, Namaskar, right? We're constantly understanding that people are different from us, and we're constantly adjusting to that. Veg, non-veg, right? We constantly have to do that. It's the nature of the culture. We think about other people and we create experiences for them. We also have a deep hospitality in India, a deep ethos of hospitality and service, right? It's natural, right? Somebody comes to your home, you take care of them. And I came to India 20 years ago this month. And I met Paula Lahiri, who's over here. That's not it. Come on, there we are. There she is. See, she hasn't changed in 20 years. I look a little grayer. But we started an interesting journey because we looked at the Indian culture. I looked at it and I went, you know what? This is the ideal place to do experience design. This is a natural place for that. And I ran around to every systems integrator, Infosys and Wipro and all that. I said, we need to do user experience from here. You know, we need to do human factors work. And they were like, yeah, sure. but it didn't happen. And we didn't know what to do about that. So what we did was we formed a company. I've been running a company in the US called Human Factors International, dates back to 1981. And in 1999, we started Human Factors International here in India with kind of a radical idea. At the time, there was a lot of thinking, what we should do is have cyber coolies, right? Designers should just be, do the grunt work, coding and testing and stuff like that. And we said no. That we could do world-class experience design from India. And we started a company to do that. We started training people. We started doing projects, working with the US side of the company. A few years into that, there was a meeting in the US, and I debated Jared Spool. They called it the celebrity death match. Jared Spool's one of the other UX gurus. And Jared's position was that we'll never be able to do UX remotely from India, not possible. And my position was we could. His argument was we wouldn't be able to do it in an organized way. We wouldn't break these cultural issues, the communications issues. And my argument was I'm already doing it. I won, I thought. So the message of all of that was that we can do UX work from India in a world-class way. And we did basically what is a pilot. So Human Factors International in India, it's a pilot. We did about $250 million worth of UX work over the years for all those clients. But in my mind, it's just a pilot. But I think there's a unique opportunity. Have you seen this thing? Make in India. What does it mean? You've seen it, right? Yeah? Not new? Okay. What does make in India mean? Louder, I can't. We can make stuff in India. Well, yeah. Huh? It's this advertisement from the state. Yeah, okay, I got that. But what does it really mean to say we're making in India? Yeah, I know we can make stuff in India, but what's special about it?
Basically, the product development, research and development kind of back in India. So do that something start in India.
So we can do product development in India, and we do some software stuff. Yeah. So but it's not really product then, right? Yeah. So if we make physical products, make in India. Wait a minute, China has that already. We can have great engineering. Wait, Germany has that. We can be innovative. Wait, that's the US. What about Japan? That's quality. What does make in India mean? Huh? Wait.
There are problems which are kind of unique to India, maybe geographic problems which we don't. Yeah.
So you can make for India, but that's not what it says. It says make in India.
Self-dependency.
So we can make our own stuff. But really, that's pretty sad. Right? It's like, okay, we buy most of our stuff from China, but sometimes we'll make something here too. So this is the problem that I see. Make in India doesn't mean anything unless you have a unique brand. Unless there's something special about India, make in India is crap. Sorry. It's like, we're going to make in India. Great. I'm going to make in Arizona. And but I think that user experience engineering skills are the thing that can make India unique. And it's time to do that. Back in 1999, what we started to recognize is we were going into the third wave of the information age. Right? We'd struggled to get the hardware working, but I mean, today, you don't even know how much storage there is in your computer. Like, how much storage have you got? Enough. It's not a differentiator, right? Yeah, we build software and we have infotech. We've done pretty well with infotech, but infotech has become completely a commodity, and more it's becoming less and less of a job you want to have. Because you just go to GitHub and grab something, put it in. We're becoming so much more efficient. This is not a differentiator anymore. And this is not a future for India. See, it blanked the whole thing out. But there is something that's really different. And that's building things that fit user needs. And if you listen to all of the thought leaders in the infotech field, they're all talking about the importance of experience design. Why is it so important? It's important because it used to be that we would spend like a few minutes a day on the computer, check our email. It was no big deal. If it sucked, it didn't matter. Today, I mean, I'm grateful many of you are not looking at your mobiles. Some people are looking at their mobiles. But we're so tied into that if our online experience sucks, our whole life sucks. Beyond that, really, we are building a new way of people being. Right? Across India, Sri Aurobindo was writing about the supermental coming down, and you read it, and it's not the Vedic stuff. It's like, what's he talking about? I think he's talking about technology. Because the way that we function today and the way that we will function in the future is beyond imagination. But we're going to have to imagine it, and we're going to have to design it. When I was a kid, it was like science fiction. Ching, ching, I know everything in the world. Now we have YouTube. We know everything in the world. And companies are seeing that being able to design well for people is worth a boatload of money. Right? This is McKinsey, and they're going, hey, if you can be at the top of the game in user experience, be in the top quartile, top 25%, and you'll have like 25% more return to shareholders. It's worth a lot to be good at this stuff. And we see that all the time. Like, this is the HDFC mobile app, and you see the improvement. It's like 75% more people doing financial transactions. Okay? And we see study after study showing that when you do good user experience design, companies do better. And the interesting thing, 20 years ago, we were doing projects with Tata Infotech. They're not even there anymore. And what we found was it took about 10% of the development spend to do good UX. So we said about 10%, that's no longer the case. Just recently, it came out, IBM, right? Old school company, right? They went from 1 UX person to 72 engineers to 1 to 8. Right? So we're not doing 1 in 10 anymore. We're doing like 1 to 8, 1 to 5. So the UX job is becoming much bigger. And so that's the global opportunity. And as I said, I believe that India has a unique capability to do that work. What does it take to do good UX work? You have to change your mindset. We've traditionally walked in the room and said, we're doing a project and we want to think about the technology stack first. If you think about the technology stack first, your stuff will never be any good. What you have to do is think about this customer experience stack. Who are the customers? What is their ecosystem? And then what's their motivation? And how am I going to persuade them to use this? And then what are the channels I'm going to provide? And then how do I design those channels? We don't come at it going database out. We come at it going customer in. And then hey, now we can go ahead and figure out what the technology needs to be. Here's the thing. UX work is an engineering discipline. So you can have the core ethos of service and hospitality. But if somebody comes to your home and you don't know how to turn on the burner, you're not making chai. And if you want to make an easy-to-use software package, you will not do it by good intentions. You will not do it by just common sense. You will only do it if you understand the engineering discipline. There are billions of dollars worth of research-based insights and models and methods that we have to know. If those terms don't make sense to you, you can't do this work. Right? So you can build a bridge by good intentions, but I'm not driving on it. We need to get the big picture right. So we need research into users, and based on that research, we need to understand what the relationship is, why the customer is there. So I need to understand the drives, blocks, beliefs, and feelings about investing. Then I can go, as we did, and this is public and so on, for ICICI high net worth investors, we know that they're afraid that they're going to lose their money, but they feel like they're safer if they have an individualized investment program. And so the underlying frame is investment solutions must be based on your needs, both explained and unexplained. We made the slogan, we understand what drives you, and then that can permeate everything. You put that into the website, in even the TV ads, like Shah Rukh Khan came out with it. We actually did not get to meet him. It was very sad. So once I understand what's special, I have to think about all the different channels, right? So I have mobile applications and cell phones and tablets and all these different things. How do they fit together? Like this is Airtel, and you're going like, I just want to recharge, and where do I go? Right? So we want to make it so people can find things across the channels. Then, and that aspect of looking across channels, that can be all sorts of things. It can be a mining environment. It can be inside a company. But we need to do that big picture design. We then have to do the structural design where we go, I understand this user and what's going on in their life, and then I can look at what their scenarios are. Like, hey, I want to pay my bill, right? But paying the bill means looking up here, picking that number up, going in here, adding that number to it, and then paying it down there. That's not good, right? Everything about my internet used is in one place. That is good. If I want to get upgrades, it's all over the place. So we can start to see whether our design fits with the user. Then, how many people have heard of a deep mental model? Nobody. So we have an idea that there's a structure to the stuff we're building. And so this is the current structure for that site. But if we understand the user sees it in a different way, that's maybe the way the user sees it. Different, right? And so I can say the first thing they want to know is what to pay. Let's put that in one place. And then they want to know how much data they've used, and let's put that in a place. And then they want to know if they can get upgrades. And then they want to know get self-service. So we're building the design around what the user's mental process is. Then we can go and say, what activities are they doing? And put that in. Graphically treat it. Now I have a design that's user-centered, that fits with what the user's doing. Okay, it's more involved than this, but it gives you a feeling, right? So we're building around the user. Of course, there'll be a mobile application. Okay. So we have to do the large-scale omnichannel thing. We have to do the design thing, and it can be very complicated systems, like this is petrophysics. Right? Then we go down to detail design. And here we're going, how do we actually create that screen? And if you think you're creating a screen, it won't be good. Because what you're doing is you're designing a cycle of information processing. The visual, intellectual, memory, motor user activity of the user. And every one of these things works differently than the way you think. You probably think you can see like a camera, but you don't see anything like a camera. And if you think you're going to see like a camera, you're not going to design well for it. Actually, there's a little spot on the back of your eye called the fovea centralis, and it subtends about 2 degrees of the overall visual angle. If you hold your arm out at full length, your thumbnail is the amount covered by that. And you constantly move your eyes around and compile a picture of your environment in your head. We can track that with devices called oculometers or eye trackers. And so we can design interfaces that are easy for people to scan by planning that. Here's 2 ads. Which is better? The only difference is her eye. How many people think the top one is better? Almost everybody. Okay, so almost everybody's wrong. So if I look at the eye track on the top one, you connect with her, but I barely fixate on the product at all. How am I going to sell the product if you don't look at it? In the bottom one, I'm looking at the product. That's good. Okay. Now, I didn't have to run that study because I could look it up from the literature and I know that's an effect. So knowing you don't have to run eye track all the time because we know how the eyes work. You can compromise like this if you need to, by the way. Your eye transmits into the brain, and your brain has about 30 different areas that process that information. There are areas that specifically look at concave shapes and faces. You have special area of your brain that just does faces. If I turn a face upside down, it doesn't go into that area of your brain. If I turn the face right side up, it will go in, and look at how different it is. It's the same exact image. I'm just turning it right side up and it goes into, or this one down here looks okay, right? Ah. Yeah, I know, psychologists are weird. We have to design things that are easy for people to use, but we also care about designing things that are persuasive, that are fun to use, that compel you to buy stuff. So we can look at it as there's a usability aspect, and there's what we call PET, persuasion, emotion, and trust. And that's the part where I can influence people psychologically. And this is potentially really evil, but it can be used for good things too. All right, there's a study I got to tell you about. I got to tell you a story. So there's a rickety suspension bridge that's 230 feet over a river in Seattle. And they have a research team, and they go out. And they have guys that are walking on a path up to that bridge. And then they walk across the bridge, right? And at random, half the time they have a woman come up with a clipboard and ask the guy a set of questions before he goes over the bridge, before he's reached the bridge. And the other half of the time, they stop him after he's gone over the bridge. So the question is, in the research, which of the guys are more likely to ask the woman out on a date? The ones before the bridge or after the bridge? After, you're right. Why? You were sure it was after, but why? More confidence. So going over the bridge, I survived, and okay, I'm confident, and come on, no. Why?
Maybe he feels a sense of achievement.
He feels a sense of achievement. No. Yeah. Hold on. He can take more risk because he survived through that one. He feels he can take another risk. No.
Experimental.
So he's experimenting. No. Huh?
Maybe a little bit of adrenaline rush after the adrenaline rush.
Adrenaline, that is correct. So what's happening is he comes across the bridge. He's scared as hell. He's breathing hard. His heart's beating. He meets the girl. My heart's beating. I'm breathing hard. She's got to be hot. We know this because we can use a shot of adrenaline and get the same effect. If you have any guys you like, just one shot. And in fact, we do that. You know, if you go out on your first date, it's like you go out to a scary movie. So the point here is we make our decisions based on our emotions, based on our physiology. And so we need to design for that. It's not just can I do it, but it's will I do it. And there's this is from our basic class in persuasion engineering, and every one of these bullet points is a technique that I can use to make people love your design, to influence people to buy things, to change people's perception. These are the dark arts of persuasion engineering. Another research study. Team goes to a shopping mall and they set up a table. Randomly, half the time they sell 6 flavors of jam and half the time 24. When they have 24 flavors, slightly more people come up to it, slightly more taste it. Which sells the most, 6 flavors or 24? 6, you're right. With 6 flavors, 30% buy it. What percentage with 24 do you think? 10? This is the difference between surviving as a company or not. There's an effect called decidiophobia. People don't like to make decisions. Lots of choices, not better. So if you're thinking about lots of different kinds of policies or lots of different kinds of investments, not so good. Psychologists love this sort of stuff. I'm going to show you a red circle. Ready? I'm going to show you another red circle. It doesn't look like it's the same size, right? But I guarantee you it is. We judge the size of things relative to other things around them. How do we use that? So I was in San Francisco and I met with the president of Macy's, who sells clothing, Macy's.com. And he comes, he says, you guys took us from $500 million to $1 billion a year. He puts his arm around me and he goes, but you screwed up. He said, look at this. Seems okay. Follow the standards. He said, the problem is that people look at the shipping charges and the taxes, they go, oh, that's a lot of money, and they leave. So I've got to make those numbers look smaller. How do you do that? I just put a big number next to it, right? Savings from the sale that's just crap, right? But they do that even today. All right, ladies, 2 guys, which guy is more attractive? Actually, we have good research that says these 2 guys are exactly identical in how attractive they are. Carefully researched. But you can take them and make them look uglier. So I can make an ugly Jerry. I can put him in Photoshop and twist his nose around, and I can also make an ugly Tom. Now, if I show somebody these 3, which one are they likely to want to go out on a date with? Jerry. Yeah, that's right. And if I show them the bottom 3, yeah. That's because we like to make decisions based on a comparison. Right? This is important, right? It says if you go out to a bar, you should take somebody with you who looks like you but is a little bit uglier. This is useful, right? Yes, see? But I can also use it in business. So I can go like, hey, The Economist says you can get an economist.com subscription, $59, print and web for $125. Unfortunately, most people get this one. And they want to change that, so they offer this. Economist.com, 59 is the same. Print subscription only for 125, print and web for 125. Isn't that stupid? Who would get print subscription for 125 and print and web for what? Nobody would get that, right? You're right. So what they found is now 16% gets .com, 0 get print subscription. Now we've gone from 32% to 84% getting print and web using an ugly Jerry. So this kind of thinking, how do I design things that are easy for people? How do I design things that are compelling, that work emotionally? That's the job of the UX engineer, right? That's the human-centered design job. And whether we're looking at VR or artificial intelligence, so here we're looking at artificial intelligence. What do we do with that? Right? Today, everybody's doing artificial intelligence. Most of them aren't really, but what do we do with artificial intelligence? This is what we do. It allows us to personalize things for people so that when I pick a persuasion strategy, I'm picking one that'll work for you. Lots to that. You know, I was looking at all of these physical things out here. So just as an example, we're working on a washing machine from Siemens. It was funny, I actually had this machine at home in Pondicherry. And I'd been washing my clothes because I figured here we have, this control would be the timer, right? It's like a kitchen timer. So I set it on 90. I couldn't figure out why all my curtains were like getting faded, because it turns out this 90 refers to 90 degrees Celsius. I was boil washing my clothes. But when I use a control like that, I'm thinking it's going to be the timer, not something that sets states, right? So we don't want to use this kind of control to do things like I want to set it to empty or set it to rinse. It doesn't make sense, right? Then if you look at the flow on this, I come here and I set up what kind of wash. I go here, I set whether it spins, and if it spins, and I click start, and then I monitor the wash back here. That's not the way I want to do it. Or here, I have a light that goes on. I press this button, I have this light. If the light is on, does that mean it does spin or it doesn't spin? Right? I want something more like this, switch on, off, or something like that. Or here, it has 1200 or 600. The light on, does that mean 1200 or 600? Right? And then when you take these two together, they're interacting like if I set it to this is on and that's, what does it mean? Right? So what you really want is a control that looks like that. Right? So this UX stuff applies not just to software, but also to hardware, physical things, vehicles, all that. Forget that. Okay, I got one more thing I want to talk about. And that's the end of the world as we know it. So, about 10 years ago, we started to notice that the world was coming to an end. Right? So we see this, it's not really climate change, it's really an ecosystem collapse. That's pretty scary. Is there something we could do to help that? Well, Al Gore came up and he said, hey, we have the technology to make it better. We can do all these little things and it will improve it, make it better. And people couldn't deal with it, but he was lying. Because it wouldn't really work. One of the underlying assumptions is that nobody's going to live any better than they are now. That's the new rule. See, the America, we screwed up the world, and we're going to keep living the way we are, and you guys don't change here. No, it's a good deal. Right, so that's not going to work. And there's all of these myths floating around. Somehow we're going to get magic to happen. There'll be some new technology. But the reality is that it's getting worse and worse. And we're seeing increasing problems in the world already. Damn. And when we look at it, we're not going to improve it with technology. We're not going to do something magical with the economy. The government probably won't help because it can't, and Trump is there. And we have market forces that are, and it's like the reality is, particularly in the Western world, we're going to have to live differently. Our lifestyles are going to change. Dark stuff. And you see right now a process that's a lot like when an individual adjusts to something terrible happening, denial, anger, bargaining, right? We have this whole process going on, bizarre politics. What the hell? Because people can't face that lifestyles will change. We have an American dream, right? People living in houses, maybe less than 3 people per household. More TVs than people, more cars than drivers. This is the aspiration of the world. And America's going, we want that, we won't give that up. And by the way, you can't have it. How did we even end up wanting that? Actually, I did it. It's my fault. Well, people like me. So there's a set of persuasion engineers. Remember the pet stuff? And what we did was we started selling people more and more stuff. We said, hey, look, sex is associated with, I don't even know what that is, car parts. And if you want to have happiness in your family, you'll buy a pillow, right? And if you want to really be high status, you'll buy a Cadillac or 5 of them, and you'll use cold cream. This is all being done by psychologists, evil psychologists working for companies, right? And we change the way people eat. Like, hey, look, your husband will be so happy if you give him a TV dinner, right? Or look at these beautiful flowers, we're selling canned pork and beans. We got in this mess because psychologists can make you want anything. Like, I'm gonna give soda to my kid. I'm gonna smoke. Psychologists made the mess we're in. Could we also make it cool to have a sustainable lifestyle? Can we design things that allow us to live and be happy? because the reality is bizarre. How many people have heard of the Esterlin paradox? Even the speakers, what the hell? So if you look at America, over the years we started making a lot more money. Happiness is dead flat. Huh. If you look at global studies, the Esterlin paradox says your satisfaction with life really goes up a lot as you go from destitute to about 10,000 US dollars per capita. And after that, it kind of levels out. And after about $40,000, you don't get any happier. Stuff doesn't make you happy. The American dream was a lie. We got people to buy into it because we wanted to sell them more crap. So at HFI, at the labs, we started thinking about how do we build a future that is sustainable, that makes people happy. And we looked at technology, and we used positive psychology, and we looked at something kind of interesting. The Indian lifestyle. The Indian traditional lifestyle takes 1/10 of the carbon footprint of the American lifestyle, 1/10. And yet people are very happy. And there's a set of things that we started to see would change and that we could design for. We started to be able to go, what will the future look like? And we saw there would be more sharing. In India, we do a lot more sharing. And we've seen that start to grow internationally. It's already starting. But those kind of values, it's fun to share, right? More and more telepresence, right? I don't have to travel. Products that last forever, that are built to last forever, right? When we design an auto rig, we don't design it for 2 years and it's over, right? We design it so you can keep repairing it and keep working, and it's older than, right? We have this thing in America, you're 65 and you retire. Oh good, then you don't make anything. And guess what? Retirement doesn't make anybody happy. In fact, it's worse. So when we start to think about this, anything you design, we take a refrigerator. You have to design a refrigerator differently for the future lifestyle. Everything will adapt to the future. And we can make it work by making it cool. I'm hoping we do that because we're going to live this way anyway. And you can look at it as a good thing or a bad thing. So sharing, you can look at it negatively. We can't afford to have our own homes, cars, or even televisions. We have to crowd around and struggle to get our needs fulfilled. This is one view of it. Another view of it is it's our aspiration to share. This gives us the chance to enjoy being part of our community and have more fun with our friends. And we're seeing growth in co-living and co-working spaces and all of that. It's really back to the traditional Indian values. So one of the things I hope we can do is to make the new lifestyle aspirational. You can go, you can't have plastic bags, or you can go, hey, isn't it cool? You can have a cloth bag that fits in your pocket and it's stylish to wear, so you get girls because we can make anything cool. The last thing I'll mention, then I'll wrap, is that we have a culture that's a natural fit for UX. Just like Japan is a natural fit for quality because the people are really compulsive. Here, the people are collective, think about others. It's a natural fit. It's also the case that India, people are willing to work together. In Silicon Valley, like, hey, I'm cool, I'm the next Steve Jobs, everybody wants to be the next Steve Jobs. Here, people are willing to work collectively to be successful. And we've been looking for 20 years into how to do that, what it takes to build an institutionalized UX capability, to build it at scale. And so there's an ability for you that are interested to be UX practitioners, to grow up the ladder of skill sets, to get trained, to get certified, to become professionals in the field. And I hope to see more of you doing that. So I'll take questions, but I think that we can make it India, but we should make it India based on a unique brand of great experiences. And that we can use our values to help save the world as we face a harder and harder reality of climate change. Okay, questions? Yeah. I think I better come with the mic in.
Why do you call design as science? I didn't really understand. Why is it called a science? Can you explain it a little bit?
Yeah. So there's a couple of $1 billion worth of research that you can. So if I want to know how the cursor moves, if I want to know whether you use uppercase or lowercase fonts, if I want to use sans serif fonts, or I can look all that up. So there is a science of design, and there are practitioners that are truly engineers, right? There's user experience engineers. So just like if you want to build a bridge, you better know about tensile strength and alloys and tolerances for weights. And if you want to design a good banking website, you better know how the eyes work, and you better know legibility issues, and you need to know all that stuff. So it's a profession that isn't, oh, I love people. It's good to love people. The ethos is important, but you need to have the technology to do it well. Everyone agrees with everything? Everyone knows everything? Yeah?
Usually we have a lot of startups making, technology products. So you said it's UX is engineering. And what are the minimum steps someone should follow when they design a product? A minimum set of steps.
So if you have a startup, probably you're going to fail. And a lot of people go, well, what I want to do is fail fast. We don't think that's so good. We think you should succeed fast. How do I succeed fast? I succeed fast by having part of my team with UX skills. And let that part of the team go first. In other words, don't start going, hey, what's our technology stack look like? Start by going, who are the users? What do they need? Why are we going to be special? And I look at a lot of startups and I go, okay, that's cool, but that's not going to work for the people side of it. So my one suggestion is, if you don't want to fail, start with the user, understand why you're special for the user, and let that drive the program as opposed to, say, a technology. Okay, yeah. Okay, oh, we have a microphone over there. Wait, it's coming.
Hi. I would like to know how how I can articulate the UX and its importance to people around me. Because the thing is, in Kerala, we are just starting out as UI and UX designers, so that people actually don't know the value of design as such, and even more so of UX, because uh, UX is just a buzzword for people like I'm doing UI UX. That's it. And even the people that are telling it don't know what UX is. So how do I, as a UI designer, uh, understand what exactly UX is and be able to articulate to it to other people so I can make better products for the future?
So I think it's wonderful that you're interested. That's good. I'm happy about that. IAMAI has a committee, and Apollo Lahiri, who's here uh, in the front, is the chairman of that. And they're working with the government to get more information about UX out and to develop competency. HFI has been doing training programs forever, since 1982, and certifications. So, there are programs out there that you can get to get a solid foundation in the field. And the thing I would recommend is that don't try to start by going, okay, I'm going to read this paper and that paper. You need a solid foundation. Master's degree is great if you can get that. And there are lots of master's programs in the US, not so much here, there are a few. But get a foundation, and then you'll know. And we need a next generation of leaders who know about that. So I hope you'll be one of them.